So we're going to do structures of the human kidney. So the kidney has 3 layers that we can look at. The first layer here is the renal capsule, so this outer covering. The next layer that you see right here with these little blood vessels running through it, this is the renal cortex. The next layer is the renal medulla. That's all this section through here. The renal medulla is divided into sections, so you'll see these sort of striated structures here. These are called the renal pyramids. And then the area of tissue in between where the blood vessels are running, these are called the renal columns. So renal pyramid, renal column, renal pyramid, renal column, and so forth. This structure that exits the kidney is called the ureter. The ureter is connected to this larger structure here. This is called the renal pelvis. And then the renal pelvis has structures feeding into it. So this structure here is known as a major calyx. And then the branches off of it would be a minor calyx. So this is a minor calyx. This is a minor calyx. This would be a minor calyx. Okay? So those 3 structures are feeding into a major calyx. So ureter, renal pelvis, major calyx, minor calyx. Right here, this indentation of the kidney, this is referred to as the hilus. So this is the entry and exit point. So we see the ureter exiting. We also have the renal artery coming in, and we can also see the renal vein going out. So we're going to follow the renal artery first. The renal artery comes in, and it branches, and those branches are called segmental arteries. The segmental arteries eventually branch, and they run through the columns as the interlobar arteries. Interlobar arteries branch across the top of the pyramids, and so they're called the arcuate arteries because they're making an arc across the top. And then these arteries go up through the cortex as the interlobular arteries. So we'll do that again. Renal artery, segmental artery, interlobar artery, arcuate artery, interlobular artery. Now what you'll notice with the interlobular arteries is they'll have little branches coming off, and those little branches are referred to as the afferent arterioles. And we'll come back to those on another video. Exiting, okay, we have the venous supply. So we have interlobular veins feeding into arcuate veins, interlobar veins, and then eventually the renal vein. You'll notice there was no segmental vein. Okay? So just went interlobar into renal vein. The striated structures that you see in the pyramids, those are created by the collecting ducts of something called a nephron, and we'll look more at the nephron in the next video. Okay, so the collecting ducts make the striated part of the renal pyramid. And those end at the end of the pyramid, okay, right here, and this is called a renal papilla. And so this is where urine drips from the nephrons into the calyces. So at the renal papilla. So collecting ducts collect urine, and then they drip urine from the renal papilla into the calyces. And so urine flows from the minor calyx to the major calyx into the renal pelvis, and then down through the ureter to the urinary bladder.